Hi y'all, it's time for our weekly recap. We are continuing in our study of the book of James on Wednesday nights at the Valley Creek and Oak Hill campus. And we've been talking a lot about wisdom and what it looks like to be a radical follower of Jesus. We used the term rad a lot and talked a lot about the 90s. I'm wearing my 90s shirt today. But before we get into James' words today, I have a question for you. When was the last time that you got mad and said something that you had some regret about? I'm pretty sure you've done it. I know I have. Most of the time, the reason why I say something that I regret later is because I'm quick to get mad and say what's on my mind, and I'm not always very quick to listen. Instead of listening to others, I get consumed with my own stuff, my own thoughts, my own wants, my own worries, my insecurities, and instead of being careful with my words, I just let them fly. And when I let them out like that, often it causes hurt and pain. And instead of managing my emotions, I let my feelings of defensiveness or frustration or anger impact and influence how I treat people around me. In James this week, James chapter 1, verse 19, we read this: "Understand this, my dear brothers and sisters. You must all be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. Human anger does not produce the righteousness God desires." Man, I wish that I would remember those words and I would carry them around in my heart all the time. But often I get caught up in the stuff of the day, and then I lose track and I say things I don't want to say. So we talked a lot about giving ourselves some tips for listening this week to focus on how to be a good listener. And so we talked about 4 different kinds of listening. To listen with your heart, which is more than just passively hearing. It's listening and caring about what someone's saying, so that when we hear the words, it goes to our hearts and we're considering kind of what they're feeling and where they're at and loving them by listening. That we listen with our mind, that we don't let our minds wander when someone's talking to us. We practice active listening, paying close attention to what others' words are. That we don't miss what they're saying because we're thinking about what we're going to say next. That we listen with our bodies, that we put our phones down, that we make eye contact, that we lean in so we can focus. And fourthly, that we listen with curiosity. Sometimes we listen because we're trying to be polite. At least I do. And in that process of trying to be polite, I'm like, yeah, okay. Instead of paying attention to what they're saying. And I definitely am not listening with curiosity. When my goal is to get to know people better and to love them well, I want to listen with curiosity. And these 4 kind of tips for listening with your heart, listening with your mind, listening with your body, and listening with curiosity, apply both to our friendships and relationships every day in our everyday lives with people that live around us and are at school with us and in our neighborhoods. They also apply to our relationship with God. God wants us to listen with our hearts, to care about what He has to say. He wants us to listen with our minds, that we would set aside time and listen carefully, that we wouldn't let our minds wander, that we would listen with our bodies. Maybe that means closing my eyes or going for a walk or raising my hands or kneeling. Or for sure, for me, it means putting my phone away so that I can focus. And He wants me to listen with curiosity, that I would want to know Him more. And in the process of asking Him questions, that I would be growing in my wonder and amazement of who He is, that I would be interested in what He has to tell me about being a follower, that I would want to be more and more like Him. This wisdom that James shares with us is significant. And one of the reasons why it's so significant is because when we listen more than we speak, it gives us the opportunity to love people in a radical way. We hope to see you next Wednesday as we continue to read the book of James. But I hope we get to see you at worship between now and then. We love you. Bye.